When the storm of your spiritual awakening finally stills, not with fanfare, not with a chorus of angels, but with the hollow quiet of an empty temple. You find yourself standing barefoot on cold earth, palms open, breath shallow, heart raw. There is no applause, no glowing testimonial, no enlightened guru handing you a scroll inscribed with divine instructions. Only silence. And in that silence, a question forms, not in words, but in the marrow of your bones. What now? You did not collapse under the weight of revelation. You did not flee when the illusions shattered like stained glass beneath a hammer blow. You watched as the identity you spent decades constructing, child of approval, servant of expectation, mask wearer for survival, crumbled into dust. You saw the hollow man you had become, the performative soul who smiled while bleeding inside, who spoke and rehearsed truths to avoid the terrifying vulnerability of authenticity. And yet you remained. Not because you were brave, but because you had nowhere left to run. Survival was never the goal. Survival was the threshold. And now, here, in this unmarked territory where the old maps have burned and the compass spins wildly, you are asked to do the most dangerous thing of all, to build a life from the inside out. Not the life your parents imagined for you. Not the life your culture sold you through advertisements, social media, religious dogma, or corporate success narratives. But the life that hums beneath your ribs, the one that only your soul remembers, buried under years of conditioned noise. Carl Jung did not speak of enlightenment as a summit to be conquered. He spoke of individuation as a lifelong excavation, a slow, deliberate, often excruciating process of uncovering what has been buried not by accident, but by necessity. The ego does not die in a single cataclysm. It retreats. It disguises itself. It whispers sweet lies in the dark. You've changed enough. You're safe now. You can go back. They'll forgive you if you smile again. But you know better. Because you've felt it, the hollowness behind the curated peace, the tension in your shoulders when you laugh at a joke you don't find funny, the way your voice tightens when you say, "I'm fine," and mean I am unraveling. That is not healing. That is camouflage. Jung warned us. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And so you sit, not to fix, not to transcend, not to achieve some higher state of being. You sit, with the child who learned to swallow her screams so she wouldn't be abandoned. You sit, with the rage that was labeled too much, then buried beneath layers of spiritual platitudes. You sit, with the shame that whispered, "You are broken beyond repair," and believed it so deeply it became your second skin. You sit, with the grief you never allowed yourself to cry, because crying meant weakness, and weakness meant rejection. This is not therapy. This is ritual. This is not self-help. This is soul work. And it demands something far more radical than positive thinking. It demands surrender. Not passive resignation, but active, trembling, courageous surrender. To the mess, to the contradiction, to the parts of yourself you once swore you'd never welcome again. The shadow does not vanish when you awaken. It evolves. It dresses in new robes. It becomes your spiritual teacher who preaches detachment while you cling to inner superiority. It becomes the friend who says, "I support your journey," while subtly sabotaging your boundaries. It becomes the relationship that feels sacred until you realize you're still performing love to feel worthy. It becomes the meditation app that promises peace but leaves you more anxious than before because you've turned spirituality into another metric to master. You must learn to recognize these disguises. You must learn to see the shadow not as enemy, but as emissary. Every trigger is not proof of failure. It is a message written in the language of your wounds. Every surge of jealousy, every flash of resentment, every moment you recoil from someone's truth, they are not attacks upon you. They are mirrors, refracting back the parts of yourself you have refused to name. Do not rush to heal them. Do not try to dissolve them with affirmations or crystals or chants. Sit with them. Listen. Ask, what are you trying to tell me? What part of me are you protecting? What pain are you carrying that I have not dared to hold? This is the alchemy Jung called transformation. not turning lead into gold through force, but allowing the lead to reveal its own hidden light when given space, time, and unwavering presence. You will be tempted to collect wisdom like currency, to hoard books, retreats, teachers, mantras, modalities, as if knowledge alone could shield you from the terror of being human. But the real classroom has no syllabus. It has no instructor. It has no timeline. It is the silence between your breaths. It is the ache in your chest when you walk past your childhood home. It is the way your hands tremble when you finally say, "No," to someone you love. It is the loneliness that settles in your bones after you choose truth over belonging. This is where you become whole. Not by becoming perfect, not by erasing your darkness, but by integrating it. Your anger is not a flaw. It is the fire that protects your boundaries. Your grief is not weakness. It is the river that reclaims what was stolen from you. Your fear is not cowardice. It is the ancient alarm system screaming, "You are not safe here," yet you are still here. That means you are braver than you know. Wholeness is not the absence of fracture. It is the courage to hold the fractures without collapsing. And this work is not linear. It spirals. You will return to the same wound again and again, and each time you will see it differently. Not because you've changed it, but because you have changed. You are deeper now, more tender, more awake. And so the wound speaks differently. It no longer screams. It sighs. It weeps. It offers you a hand. You will meet people who call you enlightened. You will hear phrases like, "You've come so far," and you will want to laugh or cry because you know you haven't arrived. You are still falling, still breaking, still learning how to stand without leaning on anyone else's version of peace. The world will not understand you. It will not applaud your quietness. It will not reward your stillness. It will misread your solitude as aloofness, your honesty as harshness, your refusal to perform as disengagement. And yes, there will be days when you miss the comfort of pretending. Days when you long to slip back into the old script, where your worth was measured by productivity, popularity, compliance. But you will remember. You will remember the taste of your own truth. You will remember the weightlessness that comes when you stop explaining yourself. You will remember the first time you looked in the mirror and didn't flinch, not because you loved what you saw, but because you finally stopped needing to. That is the beginning, not the end, and you will be lonely. Not because you are broken, but because you are evolving beyond the frequency of those around you. Some souls will leave, not because you betrayed them, but because you outgrew the roles you played in their stories. You were the good daughter, the reliable friend, the calm one, the one who never caused trouble. And now you are none of those things. And that terrifies them, not because you are wrong, but because you remind them of what they have buried. And so they pull away. Grieve that loss. Do not pretend it doesn't hurt. Let yourself mourn the people who love the mask, not the soul. But do not shrink to fill the space they left. Do not dim your light to make others feel less threatened. Your transformation is not a threat. It is a birthright. And those who cannot witness it without fear are not your enemies. They are simply not ready. And that is okay. You are not here to save them. You are here to live, to embody, to be so fully, fiercely, unapologetically yourself that your very existence becomes a silent invitation for others to remember their own buried truth. This is how light spreads, not through sermons, not through manifestos, but through presence, through one human being who chooses to sit with their pain instead of running from it, who chooses to speak even when their voice cracks, who chooses to rest even when the world demands more, who chooses to say no, even when saying yes would earn them love. This is the sacred act of individuation, and it is radical, because it threatens everything the collective relies on: conformity, performance, distraction, control. The egoic mind wants you fixed, packaged, predictable. The soul wants you wild, uncontained, unscripted, and so you must learn to live in two worlds at once. The outer world, the one that measures success in titles, income, followers, appearances, and the inner world, the one that measures depth in silence, in tears, in courage, in stillness. You will not reconcile them. You will not make them compatible. You will carry both. And in that carrying, you become a bridge, not between heaven and earth, but between the lie and the truth, between the mask and the face, between the wound and the wholeness. There will be moments when you feel lost again, when the old patterns rise like fog, when you catch yourself seeking validation in a comment, a glance, a nod, when you feel the seduction of returning to the familiar, even though it no longer nourishes you. Do not judge yourself. Do not call it failure. Call it return. Call it initiation. Each descent is not a regression. It is a deepening. Each stumble is not evidence you've failed. It is proof you are still walking. And walking in this path is everything. You will learn to trust your body. Not your thoughts. Not your beliefs. Your body. The tension in your jaw when you lie. The nausea when you agree to something that drains you. The warmth in your chest when you speak your truth, even if it shakes. Your nervous system knows the difference between survival and alignment. Train yourself to listen to it. Stop medicating your discomfort with busyness. Stop numbing your truth with spiritual bypassing. Stop trading your authenticity for acceptance. This is not about becoming better. It is about becoming real. And reality is messy. It is unpredictable. It is inconvenient. It does not fit neatly into Instagram captions or TED Talks. It is the silence after you've cried for hours and still have nothing to show for it. It is the decision to leave a job you've spent 10 years building because your soul is screaming. It is the willingness to sit with your mother's disappointment without trying to fix it. It is the courage to let someone you love walk away because you refuse to compromise your integrity. It is choosing to be unknown rather than falsely known. It is letting your creativity flow without needing an audience. It is writing poems you'll never publish, painting canvases you'll never sell, singing songs only the wind will hear. This is the truest form of rebellion, not protest, not activism, but embodiment, living your truth so completely that it becomes invisible to the world because it requires no proof. It simply is. And in that being, you become a lighthouse. Not because you shine brightly, but because you stand steady, in the storm, without flinching, without explanation, without apology. You will not be thanked. You will not be understood. You may never receive a single word of recognition. And that is the point. The soul does not seek applause. It seeks resonance. It seeks alignment. It seeks to be lived. And so you begin to live. Not tomorrow. Not when you're ready. Not after you've healed all your wounds, but now, with the wounds still open, with the fear still present, with the doubt still whispering. You move anyway. You speak anyway. You rest anyway. You love anyway. You create anyway. Because you know now, the awakening was never about escaping suffering. It was about learning how to be with it, how to hold it, how to let it teach you, how to let it transform you, not by fixing it, but by witnessing it. And in that witnessing, you become the container, the vessel, the sacred ground where pain meets presence, where sorrow meets stillness, where brokenness meets belonging. You will come to understand that you were never meant to be saved. You were meant to be remembered, by yourself. And in remembering yourself, you give others permission to do the same. You become the quiet echo of a truth they have forgotten, not because you preach it, but because you live it, and living it truly, deeply, imperfectly is the most revolutionary act there is. There is no final destination. There is no finish line. There is only this. The next breath, the next choice, the next moment you choose yourself over safety. The next time you look in the mirror and say, I am here. I am real. I am not done. You will revisit your wounds. Again and again. Each time, you will see them differently. Not because they've changed, but because you have. You are no longer afraid of the dark. You have walked through it. You have sat with the monsters. You have named them. You have held them. And now they are not strangers. They are part of you, and you are no longer ashamed. You are grateful for the rage that protected you, for the grief that taught you compassion, for the fear that showed you where your boundaries were, for the silence that taught you how to listen. You are not healed. You are integrated. And integration is not a state. It is a practice, a daily return, 1,000 small acts of courage. Saying no when you want to say yes. Choosing solitude when everyone expects company. Speaking your truth even when your voice breaks. Allowing yourself to be seen, not as perfect, not as wise, not as enlightened, but as human, as real, as alive. And in that aliveness, you become medicine. Not because you have answers, but because you have presence, because you have chosen to remain open, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because you now know. The breaking is holy, the tenderness is truth, the quiet is sacred, and the only thing worth building, a life rooted in authenticity, is the one that cannot be taken from you. So breathe, rise, embody. You are not lost. You are becoming, and the world does not need more gurus, more teachers, more perfect beings. It needs more humans, real ones, messy ones, awake ones, ones who have survived the fall, and chosen to rise, not above the world, but through it, with open eyes, open heart, open hands. You are the medicine, not because you are flawless, but because you are real, and in a world drowning in masks. Your truth is the oxygen. Keep breathing, keep showing up, keep choosing yourself, again, and again, and again, because this is not a phase. It is your life, and you are finally living it, not as someone else's dream, but as your own, soul deep, unapologetic, alive.